In June 2020, Rockstar announced it would be remastering Grand Theft Auto V for the second time and releasing it for the fourth time in 2021. They made the promise of improved graphics, enhanced gameplay, faster character switching, faster load times, and the ability to utilize the technological advancements of the newest generation's hardware. They pushed the release date back to March 2022 and made a few extra announcements, including the addition of ray tracing. During these announcements, Rockstar never mentioned PC. This raised concerns that the newest release would just be bringing consoles up to par, and unfortunately, it seems this is exactly what happened. It's quickly approaching 7 years since the PC version was released. The PC version has been put on sale for below $10, its permanent price is $30, and it has even been given away for free on Epic Games. But now, 7 years later, Rockstar is releasing a virtually identical product with a $40 price tag. There's also a fair amount of compromises with this latest release. There's no Rockstar editor in the online version, there's no way to add mods to your single player experience, and there's a 30 FPS cap in the fidelity mode. The big problem with this is if console players bought the game for the same price as PC players, why do the console players not have the right to enjoy the product at the same level of quality that the PC players enjoy? Why do console players have to pay nearly full price for this game again in order to reach the quality that PC players have had 7 years prior? The PC version is nearly identical to the new PS5 version. Console players are getting ripped off. I paid the same price you did 7 years ago and got a game that looks nearly identical to this new PS5 version. While console players were locked at 30 FPS, PC players had 120 FPS for the same price, and better graphics. I argue that this game should have been a free upgrade, and that not doing so is exploitative, unfair, and shady. Rockstar is now in the business of reselling old products with different paint jobs. For example, GTA 5 version 2, GTA 5 PC version, GTA 5 version 3, and GTA the Definitive Edition. That's 4 different releases of old content being resold to the public for full price in nearly all cases. And on top of that, there are the mobile ports and original console ports of old titles as well. I want you to see this for what it is: a scam. Console players deserved better than this, and here's why. So how do the graphics compare? After all, that's pretty much the whole point in buying this game for the third time on the third console. Well, compared to PC, it's hard to see a difference. If you're coming from Xbox One and PlayStation 4, you'll definitely be playing a better looking game. If you've been locked to 30 FPS, you'll enjoy the Performance and Performance RT modes, which bring you to 60 FPS at 4K. Performance RT mode is 4K upscaled. The Fidelity mode is locked at 30 FPS, as it's supposed to be the best look that they could achieve on the PlayStation 5. So they took a sacrifice to frame rate. There are little things here and there like better glass damage on cars and gun barrel effects. Here's the difference between the 3 graphical modes: Fidelity, Performance RT, and Performance. This $40 version of GTA 5 adds ray tracing as well. However, there's a major problem with ray tracing in this game, and it's borderline false advertising. This video is sponsored by CuriosityStream, a subscription streaming service that offers thousands of documentaries and non-fiction titles from some of the world's best filmmakers, including exclusive originals. CuriosityStream is the Netflix for documentaries, the Hulu for history buffs, the Disney Plus for the scientists in all of us. It's also much more affordable than any of those services. It's $1.67 a month. That's just $20 a year. They have a huge collection of awesome videos. One of my favorites that I've seen so far is a nearly 5-hour crash course on the history of games. You can see this show and thousands of others on a huge variety of devices. It's available worldwide, and they add new shows every single week. Their content spans science, nature, history, technology, music, sports, and more. Go to curiositystream.com/darkspace for unlimited access to the world's top documentaries and nonfiction series. If you use promo code DARKSPACE, you'll save 25%, which comes out to only $14.99 a year. So click the link below or go to curiositystream.com/darkspace and save 25% right now. That's only $1.25 a month. That's a whole year of CuriosityStream for the price of a month of Netflix. Ray tracing is a lighting technique that can create stunning effects for reflections, refractions, shadows, and more. Typically, studios implement ray tracing to take advantage of several of these features. Can you tell the difference between GTA 5 and GTA 5 with ray tracing? It should be a pretty obvious improvement, but at a glance, you'd be hard-pressed to tell any difference. Rockstar seems to be using the buzzword ray tracing simply as a marketing technique. It's no wonder that it was only offhandedly mentioned in a Newswire post. It clears up a lot of the confusion about why they didn't advertise ray tracing in the expanded and enhanced trailers. Refunds should be honored for customers who are expecting ray tracing to be properly implemented. You can't say your game has ray tracing, knowing what that entails to the general audience, and then use a technicality to half-ass your way into earning its prestige. These ray-traced shadows are disappointing, and a major letdown. My expectations were already low, so I wasn't necessarily surprised by this letdown, but I'm starting to get surprised by how predictably lazy Rockstar is becoming. It's too bad that this version doesn't have any ray-traced reflections. That would have actually made this game worth it. Unfortunately, any and all reflections you see are just typical fake methods. Some of their reflection techniques are embarrassingly terrible. When I first played the game, I went looking for reflections in buildings, and quickly realized that it was just projecting a reflection bubble that was attached to my player onto every building's reflection. It's the same on PC. So this is just how Rockstar originally set up reflections for GTA 5. Nothing has changed. Rockstar has implemented motion sensor controls for certain vehicle types in this new version of the game. Basically, you can now fly airplanes by moving your controller around in the air like an idiot. The PlayStation 5 controller is utilized as well. Now you can feel gunfire in the adaptive triggers and the tension when braking. Outside of this, I haven't noticed any real enhancement in the gameplay, other than when driving on sand it did feel a little different, which was pretty cool.
Character switching has seemed relatively quick since the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC release. It never really seemed like a problem that needed to be addressed, and seems like something that's more relative to hardware than software. However, since Rockstar made a point of mentioning seamless character switching, we decided to test it. We compared it against the PC and the Xbox One version on the Series S console. The PlayStation had an advantage, being the only device captured using a capture card. The PC was recording itself, and the Xbox was live streaming, which potentially could have slowed down their times. Even with these handicaps, it turned out the current generation is actually slower than the previous generation and PC. So I have no idea why they claim it has the fastest load times, or why they promoted seamless character switching to begin with, when it's flat out a downgrade. Expanded and enhanced is on average 1.8 seconds slower than PC at switching characters. Expanded and enhanced is 600 milliseconds slower on average than the previous generation gamer running on comparable hardware. These tests were conducted in densely detailed areas with lots of pedestrians, buildings, and vehicles. We tested areas that were far enough apart that they needed completely new assets. We kept the settings maxed on PC at 60 FPS, so as to match the same difficulty that the PlayStation 5 would have to overcome on fidelity mode at 30 FPS. In all the tests we did, PlayStation 5 came in last place every time. This is an embarrassment to Rockstar Games, and a testament to how truly hollow their promises have become. Seamless character switching was a gimmick. Not to mention the fact that flexing about load times to begin with is ridiculous in this context, because they're showing off that their game is installed on newer, better hardware, not that they improved anything on their end. They did nothing. The consoles, the hardware, is simply better now. And the icing on the cake, it's literally the slowest in the group that we tested. So it's far from faster than ever before, but for people coming from the 360 and last gen, this is definitely an upgrade. However, you can stick to playing your older copy on your new console, because it will switch characters faster.
Explosive action. Like most of the taglines in the expanded and enhanced trailer, explosive action made no sense. But now, after being enlightened, this was actually the best improvement yet. Dare I say, the only improvement. Fire and smoke looks genuinely amazing now. Look at that smoke. Is it $40 smoke? No. Is it even $10 smoke? Not at all. But it's definitely 10 out of 10 smoke. I hope PC players will get access to this fire and smoke, and current gen consoles can keep everything else. Also, they added little shockwaves to explosions now. Isn't that cool? They finally added a web page that explains how to do things a player would want to do. The one-time box in the top left corner tutorial mode can finally be put to rest now that players can go to Rockstar's website and read the guides on how to actually go about playing the game. This is a long overdue quality of life feature. While this guide should be accessible from the new main menu of GTA 5, it's still great to finally see it available nonetheless. This game costs $40. Deals and free periods aside, Rockstar values this game at $40. A game that's $30 on PC and is arguably better there anyways. Why wasn't this a free upgrade? Did you know that most games offer free upgrades? CD Projekt Red released a free upgrade to Cyberpunk 2077 for everyone. Resident Evil 2, 3, 7, and 8 all got free updates to PS5 with improvements as well. Here's a site that shows all sorts of games with free updates. Rockstar is scummy. This company nickel and dimes its customers every chance they get. The only reason it's going for sale on PlayStation 5 or going for free on PlayStation 5 for now is because Sony paid out big time to close a deal with them. Sony essentially paid a portion of your sale in order to bring more customers to Sony. That's not Rockstar giving a discount, that's Sony paying for your half. Why did this game need a delay? It's basically a new menu. Its biggest feature appears to be ray trace shadows that are barely even noticeable. I have a theory. I think that they postponed the release because of the shortage of stock on the newer consoles. There weren't enough consoles in people's homes to generate worthwhile sales, so they held off a few more months until consoles were out and the contract DLC shark card sales subsided. They have to level out their quarterly earnings across the year so that they always look profitable. What would have been a period of downtime after the contract DLC subsided will now look like uptime. If you don't buy the single-player version of GTA 5 on the current-gen consoles, you will not have access to the Rockstar Editor. The Rockstar Editor is locked behind access to single-player. Rockstar thinks the Rockstar Editor is worth $40. And much more. Much more. The phrase you use when everything else on your list isn't noteworthy. So that's it. That's the game. There's no surprises here. Everybody thought that it would be exactly how it is. No one had high hopes. This game is exactly what we expected. A cash grab. Expanded and enhanced ended up being nothing of note. Filled with marketing gimmicks, nearly false advertising, some downgrades, and a host of other failures. I strongly advise against buying this game. I wish I could refund it. I only purchased it for this video. On a brighter note, I've been working on a big video for the past few months that features Mutahar and a new song. It's going to be over an hour long and it's packed with 3D renders, cool edits, and exposes a lot of evil in the gaming industry. Consider subscribing so that you can support its release and check back occasionally to see if it's up. Thank you for watching. And don't forget to check out Curiosity Stream. It's a big deal that they decided to sponsor me literally last minute, so if you could show support for them, it would show support for me, and I would really appreciate that too. Thank you again for watching, guys.